Now that I'm used to the climate, I think that if man ever found a place to live easy and happy, that Eden is on Puget Sound. Eden is on Puget Sound. That Eden is on Puget Sound. A place to live easy and happy. That Eden is on Puget Sound.
Hello and welcome to the Seattle Files. My name is Chris Allen, I'm your host. Every week I get together with a different local comedian, and together we discuss the strange, unusual, interesting, and oftentimes lesser known aspects of our local history. Joining me today on the program is Britney Barber.
Hello.
Hey Britney, how's it going?
Hey dude, I'm awesome. How are you?
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Britney is currently an ensemble member in Jet City Improv. She has been performing comedy all over the country professionally since 2000. She has performed in Philadelphia, Florida, Chicago, and Everett. Now she's in Seattle, living in Everett, but performing in Seattle. Anything I'm leaving out right now?
Just that I adore you.
Oh, I adore you. So, Brittany, how long have you lived in the greater Seattle area?
We moved to the Puget Sound in 2012, and we're not looking back.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
How much do you know about local history here?
Not a shit stain worth.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a very specific way of putting that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Although I did buy the Good Time Girls.
Oh, okay.
When I was at when I did a thing here.
Cool. The Good Time Girls, the book about prostitution, right?
Yes.
That's more about Alaska, right?
Yes.
Yeah, about
so, like I said, I
Klondike Kate and, yeah. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Did you like that book?
Loved it.
Yeah, it's a fascinating read, definitely.
It is.
Cool. And you have no idea what we're going to be talking about today, correct? Awesome. So, let's get started.
Cool.
In 1905, an organization formed in Chicago calling themselves the Industrial Workers of the World. The IWW was an industrial union that embraced and organized skilled as well as unskilled laborers and was created to oppose the American Federation of Labor. The IWW was designed as a democratic union, and the goal was to create one giant union that would encompass all industries, uniting the workers of the world.
Fancy.
Getting stuff organized.
Yeah, okay.
So it's trying to become basically one giant organization that encompasses all of the smaller unions.
Monopolizing unions.
Something like that.
Kinda?
Yeah.
Is this
exactly.
a good thing?
Yeah, one of those we're stronger together than we are apart.
Okay.
Kind of thing. So
not
if you're
like one dude stroking a cat is going to completely be in charge of everything.
No, it's kind of the opposite of that. It's trying to get all the power in the hands of the workers, power in the hands of the people.
All right.
Basically, the steelworkers union, the fishing union, the musicians union, all try to come together to join one giant union.
That sounds lovely.
At the founding convention, one of the leaders, Bill Haywood, said, quote, "We are here to confederate the workers of this country into a working class movement that shall have for its purpose the emancipation of the working class from the slave bondage of capitalism. The aims and objectives of this organization shall be to put the working class in possession of the economic power, the means of life, in control of the machinery of production and distribution without regard to capitalist masters. The American Federation of Labor, which presumes to be the labor movement in this country, does not represent the working class."
Ooh, big words.
Big words.
What
here.
year did this happen?
1905.
1905. Okay. Were this used predominantly, was it predominantly white people?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's why I was laughing, because it's like, oh, white man victimizing himself yet again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, worker conditions for everybody were pretty terrible back then.
Totally
crap. This would have been, the majority of white people there would have been certainly racial restrictions for certain unions at this time period.
Right, referring to themselves as slaves.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, what was me?
Well, IWW members refer to themselves as wobblies.
Ooh.
There is much dispute as to the origin of this term.
Maybe weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
They don't fall down. Some people say it was for the phrase "wobbling the works," like sabotaging stuff.
Oh.
They're wobbling the works.
Ooh,
Some people say it was there was a Chinese a group. I think it was a Chinese store, and they couldn't pronounce the W's, so it turned into wobbly.
I love it.
Yeah. So it was the IWW, International Workers of the World, or Industrial Workers of the World, calling themselves the Wobblies. The IWW quickly spread to the Pacific Northwest and gained interest with migrant laborers who traveled to logging camps looking for work. The Seattle chapter of the IWW printed to distribute a manifesto that read, quote, "It is a fighting labor union which believes that the interests of labor can be fully served only when the working people are united as a class. It wants to see all in the same job united, all in the same industry in one union, all who work for wages in one big union." The IWW differs sharply from the position of other unions that the problems of the working class can be solved by begging crumbs from employers or praying to politicians for favors. While it fights for better conditions today, the IWW insists that working people are entitled to everything they produce instead of a meager share.
Ooh, like everything?
Everything.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they're making, like, friendship bracelets, they want their wage and all the friendships. So, is there anything to sell?
They want to control the means of production. So they're producing and they're selling what they're producing, but they're getting their share of what the profits from what they produce.
That sounds fair.
Yeah.
They've got me sold.
They got you sold.
I'll sign
You're
up.
ready to sign into the
I'm
Communist
ready
Party
to
here?
wobble, and I will not fall down.
All right, awesome. There will be insecurity and hunger among those who toil for as long as there is an employing class which benefits from low wages and evil working conditions. The IWW holds that there can be no solution to industrial warfare, no end to injustice and want until the profit system itself is abolished. So they're trying to overthrow capitalism.
I feel like this has not worked.
You don't think that this is going to work?
Since, if this is all quoted from 04, 1904.
1905, yeah.
It seems like their progress arc has been a little...
Are you implying that there is still capitalism today?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So you're biased in terms of what you know is going to happen.
I am biased in that I mean, I guess we're better than 1904.
Yeah.
But anytime I worked in a warehouse, and OSHA would not have approved anything.
No? What kind of workhouse or warehouse?
I worked in an AV warehouse.
Okay.
Where AV studio and warehouse, and it was not OSHA approved.
Really?
And we weren't even, like a get, I mean, there's nothing, but it was just, I don't know. Are they going to sniper me?
They might sniper you,
Yeah.
yeah. That's always a concern.
Yeah,
to be sniped.
well, IWW.
And striving to unite labor as a class in one big union, the IWW also seeks to build the structure of a new and better social order within the shell of the old system, which fails to provide for the needs of all. They're trying to get everybody united. Among the most radical of their demands being made were a 40-hour work week, worker ownership over factories, and insistence on sanitary conditions.
Okay. Isn't the average American work week is something between like 50 and 60?
Is it now?
Something.
Well, they would have been working, 60, 70-hour weeks.
Right.
They would have been working crazy long hours in very unsafe conditions.
Yes.
So they were trying to fight against that.
Yeah.
In 1909, the Wobblies launched a protest in Spokane. The city of Spokane had made it illegal to speak on the street, largely in response to fear of the industrial workers of the world, which threatened to undermine current labor practices. On November 2nd, the Wobblies set up an overturned soapbox on the sidewalk, and one member stood upon it and addressed the crowd. The police quickly pulled the orator down, and they were immediately replaced by another, who was then arrested and replaced by another. So they've got an assembly line of people waiting to speak. So as soon as one person gets up to start speaking, they pull them down. The next person gets up.
Sounds like serious scene.
Yeah, something like that.
play this at Jet City. Is this where the term... Oh, am I getting ahead? Is this where the term soapbox comes from? Is this the first...
This is not the first... This would have been where the term soapbox comes from, but not specifically this protest. But
so everybody was using fucking
Everybody was
soapboxes.
getting up on their soapboxes. But
right.
that's where the term get up on your soapbox comes from, is people would stand on soapboxes
Why
on
soapboxes?
streets.
Was it racist against apple boxes?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Fucking apple boxes.
Yeah, seriously, taking all our jobs. And no, soapboxes would have been something everybody would have had. They would have been easily available. They would have been around.
People bought a lot of soap.
I guess so, yeah.
To necessitate a box.
Mm-hmm, and they would have been all wooden boxes, strong and sturdy.
Strong.
Yeah.
God, they don't make soap boxes like
they
used
really
to.
don't, yeah. 103 Wobblies were arrested on the first day. Over 500 ended up being arrested in total. The protest was a success, and the Spokane free speech fight ended with the city revoking the ordinance banning public address on city streets. So they won.
They accomplished something.
They accomplished their goal.
Yeah, wobbles.
Yeah. They wobbled, but they didn't fall down.
Amen, brother.
The Wobblies had made their presence known in Seattle, and in the spring of 1912 marched through the streets waving a red flag, a symbol of socialism. Some people tried to institute a ban on the IWW speech, but they were unsuccessful.
You can't hold the Wobbles down.
No, you can't. You can't.
They're slippery little fucks.
They are, yeah. Yeah, they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it done. July 17th, 1913, Seattle was holding the Potlatch Days celebration, which is a precursor of modern-day Seafair. The Potlatch was an old First Nations in the Northwest celebration that they would have. They would all get together and share food and wealth and things.
Like potluck? Is that potluck in another language?
It's potlatch. I don't know if that's where potluck come from. That actually might make a lot of sense, because it was all about sharing and bringing the whole community together. But potluck actually might be derived from potlatch. Potlatch is an old Native American.
Oh, it's okay.
Northwest Native American term. And an event.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't made that connection.
We're onto something.
I think we might be. Yeah.
Potluck.
Yeah.
The Wobbles have definitely affected our history way more than anybody knows.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we'll find out more.
We can.
3 sailors came upon Annie Miller, who was a pacifist and orator. She was making a speech on a portable platform she had set up on Occidental near Washington Street.
Annie? I heard Annie gives good oral.
Oh, yeah. The 3 artillerymen jeered her, and she in return called them drones and burdens to the working class.
So she invented drones as well.
Drones is a much older term than that.
Just let this happen.
Okay, yes, she invented the term drones. When she finished and dismounted the platform, one of the sailors took her spot and addressed the crowd with a message very much the opposite, preaching war and American exceptionalism. The crowd booed the young sailor.
Yeah!
Annie Miller attempted to get the stand back, stating it was rented and she did not return it. She would have to pay extra.
She left a deposit.
Yeah, she did.
They have her driver's license.
Mm-hmm. They have her credit card number.
Yep.
Yeah. The sailor responded by telling her to shut up and shook his fist at her. A well-dressed man from the crowd stepped forward, denounced the sailor for threatening to hit a woman, and struck him in the face.
Oh my gosh.
A brawl broke out, some nearby soldiers rushed to the support of the Navy, and in a short time the police arrived to break up the fight.
Now, I feel like I might need to recuse myself, because I'm married.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is in the Navy, so technically I'm married to a sailor. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know where this is going.
Okay.
But I can't choose. I want to love Annie, and I want to support her, but then you get into the whole military banding together, and then I might go home and the door might be locked.
Okay. So you feel conflicted about all this.
Very conflicted.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's okay, yeah.
All
right. This happened a long time ago, so I don't think anybody's going to demand that you take sides on this.
All right, so everyone's over it.
Well, I'm not, so I might in a little bit, once you get a little more information.
Okay, if you punch me in the throat, I'll know why.
Okay, probably not going to do that, but
You're such a gentleman. You're no sailor.
Okay. A few blocks away, Secretary of the Navy Josephus Daniels was giving a speech at the Rainier Club as part of the Potlatch Days celebration, unaware of what was happening in the streets. So he's given this speech about America and patriotism. The Seattle Times reported the story the next day and embellished the events to paint the IWW in a negative light. They wrote, quote, "Practically at the very moment, a gang of red flag worshippers and anarchists were brutally beating 2 blue jackets and 3 soldiers who had dared protest against the insults heaped upon the American flag at the soapbox meeting on Washington Street last night. Secretary of the Navy Daniels, cheered on by the wildly enthusiastic and patriot Americans present, flayed as a type the mayor of any city who permits red flag demonstrations in a community of which he is the head."
Wow.
Yeah, so the Seattle Times is... Fuck the protesters. Yay, Secretary of the Navy.
But, what did rojo ever do? It's just Spanish for red. Just, what did the cut, I mean, I feel like we need to just give Roy B. Jiv some credit, and it's the blue jackets and the red, and we're putting these colors up against each other.
And then you end up with America.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But is that... Oh my god.
Red and blue and white. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, the red flag was a symbol of socialism, and they were very...
But it's also a symbol of passion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
symbol of bullfighting.
Ooh, it is a symbol of bullfighting. Which, don't get me started. Those poor bulls, and they wrap the things around their balls to make them all angry.
They do that in rodeos.
They do
for
that
bonking bruccos.
They do that with the bulls too. That's
really?
why the bulls are so angry.
Okay.
Yeah. If I took a tourniquet and wrapped it around your junk,
then I might punch you in the throat.
Exactly.
Then I might. But that's a extreme circumstance.
And bullfighting is just for fun. It's a fucked up thing.
It is a fucked up thing, yeah. So you wouldn't be a bullfighter?
I wouldn't. I enjoy the costumes. I enjoy the Madonna song that has the bullfighter in the song. Take a bow. Love it. But those poor animals, they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And the color red didn't do anything to be associated with, socialism in a negative light. I just wanted to know that, I'm cool with you, Red.
You're cool with Red? Okay,
Yeah.
Red, if you're listening,
Yeah.
Britney Barber is cool with you.
Thank you. I just thank you now.
That evening, a group of soldiers, fired up by the newspaper article and speech of the Secretary of the Navy, led a charge of thousands, armed with everything from bolos to axe heads, and destroyed the IWW headquarters in Seattle. In the riot, they attacked the Socialist headquarters, also in Pioneer Square, and in the chaos, accidentally destroyed the Union Gospel Mission.
May I ask what a bolo is? Like a bolo tie?
I'm not sure what a bolo is exactly, to tell you the truth. I think it's like a blackjack, like one of those things you whack people with.
So it is an appropriate thing to arm yourself with.
Yes, yeah. It's not like a cowboy tie.
My Louisville is in the Conestoga. I'm gonna just bring my bow tie.
Yeah,
and hope
exactly.
For the
I'm
best.
gonna whack him with my clip-on. The Times later wrote, quote, "Anarchy, the grisly hydra-head serpent which Seattle has been forced to nourish in its midst by a naturalized chief executive for 18 months, was plucked from the city and wiped out in a blaze of patriotism last night. Hundreds of soldiers and artillerymen, who carefully planned the entire maneuver yesterday morning, led the thousands of cheering civilians to the attack and successfully wrecked the Industrial Workers of the World headquarters and direct action against socialist headquarters in various parts of the business district."
Intense.
Yeah.
People don't write like that anymore.
They don't, no.
I wish they did.
Well, it's very inflammatory.
Inflammatory, but also it's got some, you take poetic liberties, and I feel, but as a society, we have such an exaggerated language as far as, oh, I hate that, I love you, oh my god, it's 1,000,000 hours. Everything is so inflammatory.
Yeah, so hyperbolic.
But without, we speak in inflamed words, but we're not saying anything cool. At least what they're saying has, you take it out of context. If you're just reading it, it's more fun to read than the way we speak.
It's true. So we
these
speak
days.
dumb but with passion.
Yes! Ignorant Passion.
Yeah.
Our new band.
Yeah. Oh, yeah!
Yeah!
Ignorant Passion. That's, yeah. Yes.
Welcome to America.
Yeah. Mayor Cotterill accused the Times of being the architect of the attack, the Seattle Times. He ordered all liquor stores closed and no copies of the tie to be allowed in circulation until the following Monday, to try to keep them from instigating another riot. But that order was soon overturned by a judge because of freedom of the press. No one was killed in the riots. The worst that happened in terms of injury was one wobbly got a bloody nose. The IWW was experiencing major setbacks, but believed in what they were doing, and they weren't quitting.
Good for them.
Everett, to the north, had a long history with unions.
Hey, this is my town.
Yeah. Everett had been an industrial town since its founding, and one of the biggest industries in the 1910s was shingle weaving. Is there still a lot of shingle weaving up there?
Well, 1 in 3 people will contract shingles at some point in their life. And up in Everett, we pioneered taking the sufferers of shingles and stitching their rashes together. As in, you thought shingles was fucking bad now. Now you're sewed to another shingles.
Wow.
patient.
So it's a way of containing everybody that has shingles together in one city.
Yep. It's like a really fucked up form of that amoeba game.
Well, I'm just gonna correct you real quick. That's not what shingle weaving is.
That's a shame.
Yeah. So shingle weaving was taking cedars and weaving them into shingles for roofs and
Less
things
fun.
like that. Yeah. A shingle weaver made about $4.10 a day, which was a decent wage compared to a logger who could expect to make about $2.25 a day. The shingle factories were a dangerous place. There were exposed saw blades and dark, damp conditions. It wasn't uncommon for a man to lose a finger or even die in the factory.
I think I just realized that my vagina is a shingle factory.
Okay.
Cold, dark, damp conditions. Men have died in there.
Men have lost their fingers in there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. In 1916, the cost of shingles went up. And Ernest Marsh, a shingle weaver, set out to rebuild the local branch of the Brotherhood of International Shingle Weavers of America. The union attempted to negotiate a fair pay scale for workers, and while most factories in the state complied, the ones in Everett did not.
Oh.
So they're making more money, but they're not giving their employees more money.
Oh.
So on May 1st, 1916, Everett shingle weavers went on strike. IWW Speaker James Rowan went to Everett to lend his support. He was arrested by the sheriff who supported the unions but believed the industrial workers of the world to be agitators. He was released with a warning, and upon his release went right back to the crowd and to continue speaking. He was arrested again and returned to Seattle. Keeps getting arrested.
Yeah.
Wobbly Levy Remick traveled to Everett and set up a Wobbly office and distributed copies of the Industrial Worker.
He should sue the contractor.
Because the office was wobbly.
It's like building on sand, man.
Yeah. They distributed copies of the Industrial Worker, the Wobbly paper that covered the shingle weaver strike. You really can't get past the name Wobbly, can you?
Why would you get past that?
Yeah.
When you can get on it, get under it, just preposition the shit out of it.
If you want to be taken seriously...
Wobbly was probably not the way.
Yeah.
No.
It's a silly name.
And then the Shingle Weavers of America, I want to call those swams.
That's good. That's a good, swams.
Yeah, the swams.
No, that's good.
Thank you. Could be better, but...
August 19th, one of the mill owners brought in union busters who clubbed the protesting workers. August 22nd, the same tactic was used in Spokane was employed. They set up a soapbox, and when one speaker is arrested, another takes their place. Time went on, and the citizenry of Everett became more and more supportive of the unions and the Wobblies after seeing firsthand the harassment that they were facing and the continued resistance in its wake.
Yes, you give us enough time, we will get behind the right cause.
Yeah.
Just give us some time.
If you see enough innocent people getting beaten in the street.
Yeah. Hey, we all have our limits.
Mm-hmm. October 30th, 1916, a group of Wobblies docked in Everett and were greeted by 200 armed deputies, who were to escort them to a place away from the protest where they would be allowed to speak. So that you can come into Everett, but we're not going to take you to the protest. We're going to take you somewhere else you can talk there.
Ooh, I fell for that in high school. Yeah, Brittany, we're not going to take you to this party. We're going to take you to this other party. Mm-hmm. There is no fucking party, man.
Yeah. And then it's just shitty.
It's just...
They refused and were badly beaten.
Oh.
Yeah. They were loaded into trucks and taken into the woods, and they were further beaten in the darkness under a cold rain.
Oh my god.
Yeah. The following morning, though it had been raining hard, the ground was still covered with blood.
Oh.
So they fucked up these protesters.
Yeah, they
pretty
did.
bad. Things came to a head on November 5th, 1916. 300 Wobblies left Seattle aboard 2 steamers to Port Gardner Bay to launch a protest in Everett. You know where Port Gardner Bay is?
Port Gardner Bay. We have a Port Gardner Bay winery.
Yeah, it's right by there.
Oh, excellent.
Word of the group reached Everett authorities, and rumors were circulating that they planned to burn down the city. The IWW men were on 2 boats, and as they approached the dock, the sheriff and deputies were waiting for them. The sheriff yelled from the dock, "Who is your leader?" The response was, "We are all leaders."
Good one.
Yeah, it's a good line.
Oh, that's real good.
The sheriff yelled that they couldn't land there. A shot was fired. It was never determined if the first shot came from the dock or from one of the boats, but gunfire rang through the air for a few minutes until quieting down. The official count is that 5 Wobblies died, and 2 sheriff's deputies were killed, 27 men were injured. However, it is possible in the confusion that as many as 12 of the Wobblies died, and their bodies were pulled out of the water at Port Gardner Bay.
Man.
Yeah, it's an awful conflict. It is rumored the deputies were drunk at the time of the encounter.
Oh my god. See, if everyone smoked weed, if those deputies smoked a fat blunt on that dock instead of being wasted, they'd have been like, let's just talk about it, man. Nobody would have gotten the shit beat out of them. Nobody would have died. They probably would have hugged it out, you know?
If only they had legalized marijuana 100 years earlier.
Yes. They would have been laughing about being Wobblies the whole time.
That's true. They would not have been able to get past that if they were high.
Giggly Wobblies, and, you know, they would have went to the Port Gardner Bay winery, tasted a nice, 1903 Merlot.
A good year.
And go home as friends.
Yeah.
We'll give you a 15-minute break, and we'll, make those machines less deathly. It's all good.
Yeah.
See? Potheads should run the country.
That's one way of thinking about it. If only they could finish the paperwork on time.
We do, just, we get it.
Okay, all right. It is also rumored that the 2 deputies were accidentally shot by friendly fire. The bullet that killed one left a bullet hole in the back of the jacket, but there was no entry point in the front. So while they were all on the dock firing at the boat, they think one of the deputies was accidentally shot in the back by one of the other deputies.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That's...
Yeah.
Rick.
Rick! Come on,
Come on,
Rick.
man. If you don't want to be on the front line, don't shoot from the back line.
Yeah, we talked about this all day yesterday, all this morning, and the whole ride here.
Angelina Jolie did not teach you to curve the bullet. You cannot do it, man.
Wanted is not a documentary. It is not based on true events. The ships returned to Seattle, and 74 Wobblies were arrested and brought to the Snohomish County Jail. The National Guard was called in for safety. The dead Wobblies were recovered and were buried at Mount Pleasant Cemetery on Queen Anne Hill. Anna Louise Strong later wrote of the tragedy, quote, "The news was that at every stage, the Everett police and private lumber guards took the initiative in beating and shooting workers for speaking in the streets. The lumber guards on the docks had begun the shooting and continued firing as the Verona pulled away. Yet none of them was arrested. The men on trial for murder were not individually shown to have even possessed a gun. It was enough that someone on their ship, a comrade or agent provocateur, had fired."
Man, this was not produced by the Everett Tourism Board.
This was not, no?
It's a lovely place.
Everett?
And we promise not to shoot you.
Okay. So they don't talk about this on the winery tour? Like, here's a lovely Chardonnay, and this is where the bloodiest protest in Everett history.
Yep.
It's since been called the Everett Massacre.
Oh.
That's what it's referred to, has gone down in history as. Thomas H. Tracy was the first to be tried. He was a teamster and leader in the IWW. He was acquitted. The other 73 men waiting to stand trial were also released.
Okay.
So none of the Wobblies ended up going to prison for this.
Okay, so it worked out kind of.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah, a lot of people died, but they didn't go to prison
Can't
for
make
it.
an omelet without killing a few Wobblies.
Wow, yeah. If only they were high. The Everett Massacre is the bloodiest labor confrontation in Northwest history. The Wobblies pointed to the massacre to show the brutality of capitalism and the lengths that bosses will go to suppress workers. They made martyrs out of the men who died, and it drew in new IWW members. During World War I, the Wobblies' political power decreased. The organization was against entering the war, and the growing rise of nationalism was counter to the IWW socialist ideals. 100 members of the IWW were convicted under the Espionage Act for conspiring against the draft and encouraging sailors to dissent their posts.
They are pot stirrers.
They are, yeah. They're wobbling the works. That's what they're doing. Yeah, they don't give a fuck. They're trying to stir shit up. You're exactly right.
Gangster.
November 11th, 1919, a parade was being held in Centralia, Washington, to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the armistice that ended World War I. You know where Centralia is?
No.
It's about halfway between here and Portland.
Oh, okay.
The IWW office in Centralia was warned that the Legionnaires would attack their hall at the end of the parade, and they were prepared to defend themselves. Just like in Everett, no one knew who fired first, but when the Legionnaires approached the building, gunshots ran out, and when the smoke cleared, 4 Legionnaires were dead in the street.
Is this, did you say parade?
Parade, yeah. It's an Armistice Day parade. So it's 1 year after the end of World War I.
Yeah.
They're holding this celebratory victory parade.
Throwing candy, throwing bullets.
Yeah.
One's a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm.
But one is less calories.
That's true. Yeah. That's a very interesting way of comparing those two. Just like in Everett, no one knew who fired the first shot. IWW members and World War I veteran Wesley Everett fled the scene. He was found and arrested, only to be dragged from his jail cell and lynched by hanging off a bridge over the Chehalis River.
All right.
11 members of the IWW were put on trial for murder and were convicted, being sentenced to 25 years in prison. So they throw all the Wobblies in jail.
All of them?
11 of them, yeah. Oh. 11 of them down in Centralia.
Okay.
Later, several jurors in the trial signed affidavits claiming they had been intimidated into giving a guilty verdict. Jury tampering.
It happens.
It does.
It's a real thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not just in John Grisham books. It's also in 1919 labor disputes.
But he's a very talented writer.
Oh, John Grisham is the best, yeah.
We love you, John Grisham.
When I get on a plane, I always want to have one of my Grishams with me. The Wobblies are still around today. They have offices in Seattle, Olympia, Portland, and elsewhere around the world. They were present at the World Trade Organization protests in 1999. There are currently over 3,000 members in the IWW, operating all over the world. The only requirement for membership is that you are a wage earner who does not have the ability to hire and fire. According to their website, they offer organizing assistance to all workers, including print workers, foodstuff workers, railroad, freight, communications, entertainers, hospitality, retail, and sex workers.
Are you saying we could be Wobblies?
We could be Wobblies, yeah.
And a sex worker.
And a sex worker. Anybody can be a sex worker if they want to be.
Yeah,
but
and
yeah.
A sex worker can be a wobbly.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, why aren't there more Wobblies if they're so open? Do you get a pin? Do you get a t-shirt?
I think you can get a card. You're a card-carrying wobbly.
Oh, do they pay for the cards, or is it like a Vistaprint type thing? You get 500 for $10.
You become a member and then you pay dues. You pay monthly dues.
That's why there's not more Wobblies.
Yeah. Well, their big thing is they want you to be a 2-card carrier. They want to have your carry your card for your own union, for your own industry, and also have your union card to be a wobbly. Oh. But they also have a reputation for stirring shit up.
Badasses.
Yeah, they're pretty hardcore.
All right, I'm gonna think about it.
You're gonna think about becoming a wobbly?
If I can afford the dues.
Okay, I think it's if you make less than $2,000 a month, it's $40, and then it's I think $60 if you make more than $2,000.
As long as they're not looking at my household income and just my income, which is more of like an outcome.
So you're already trying to juke the system. You want to be a wobbly.
I want to be a wobbly, but I just please don't judge me on my wife's income because then I wouldn't be allowed to be a wobbly.
Okay. You could still be a wobbly, you would just have to pay more in dues for your household
But
income.
that's fucked up, man! Just because my wife's successful doesn't mean I should pay more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's
Is that
okay.
how that works?
I'm not sure. I'm not married, so I don't know how
I'm sorry.
that works in relation to unions.
Listen, your time will come.
Yeah, I'll be a wobbly someday. We'll see. But that's the Everett Massacre.
Man, did you pick this just for me? Because
Yeah.
I'm from Everett?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, that's so thoughtful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have you heard of the Everett Massacre before?
No.
Yeah, I don't
This
think
is
most people have. It's kind of been swept under the rug. I don't know why people don't want to talk about this. You know, a bunch of union workers getting killed in the stand-up with police over shingle weaving dispute.
Yeah.
That's clickbait right there. That's what that is.
Oh, well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm gonna look that up. I wonder if there's an Everett Massacre book.
Yes, there's many books have been written about it.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay, but I like toilet books. I read a lot when I poop.
Any book is a toilet book if you read it on the toilet.
Yes. Well, I usually do. It's like about 20 minutes, so I get a pretty good window. I can do some damage.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening to the Seattle Files. Thank you so much, Brittany, for being here.
Thank you, Chris Allen.
I'll be back next week with a new episode and a new guest. If you have a topic suggestion you would like to hear an episode about, shoot me an email at theseattlefiles@gmail.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe, and rate in iTunes. We have new episodes coming out every Tuesday, so check back often and be sure to subscribe. Thank you for listening. Be back next week. Thank you for listening. Be back next week. Thank you for listening. Be back next week. Thank you for listening. Be back next week.